Welcome to Rock Buzz. September 18th, this week, marks the 55th anniversary of Jimi Hendrix's death.
The Jimi Hendrix experience is over. The acid rock musician died today in a London hospital, apparently from an overdose of drugs.
A moment to look back hard at how his music has traveled and how much it still waits to be discovered. Among the most daring chapters in his short but explosive career is Band of Gypsys. Recorded live over New Year's Eve 1969 and New Year's Day 1970 at the Fillmore East, 55 years later, it still stands as one of his greatest statements. Hendrix came from Seattle, learned the ropes in the American R&B and blues circuits, backing acts like the Isley Brothers and Little Richard, long before he ever hit London in 1966. In London, under the management of Chas Chandler from The Animals, he formed the Jimi Hendrix Experience with Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell and began redefining what rock guitar could sound like.
He actually said, if I go to England with you, can you introduce me to Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton? I said, well, the pals of mine, I've known them 2-3 years, you know. And that was the only question he asked. He also asked what were the amplifiers like in England. I said, hey, you can get Fenders in England, you know. And that was as far as, literally, as much as the questions he asked.
Some girlfriend rang up and said, you got to hear this guy, Jimi Hendrix. And I went, oh, really? She said, yeah, I was at a club last night. It's unbelievable. And I went, oh, thanks. That's all you want to hear first thing in the morning, isn't it? Someone's outrageous guitar playing. So I went along to see Hendrix at Blazes. It was like a bomb blowing up in the right place. And I just went away from there thinking I better think of something else to do. I followed him around a bit, and he'd heard of me, which is, I couldn't believe, you know, and he said, what's that let you play? And happening's 10 years time ago. He said, I swiped that on this. And I thought, wait a minute, this is really incredible. This is kind of like we can talk music now, not instead of like he's a immovable force, I can actually get some inspiration. And he was a great source of inspiration.
For me is it gave me something which was more than something on which you played a tune. I don't know if this is true for Eric, I don't know if it's true for Jimmy Page, but it was definitely true for Jimi Hendrix. If you didn't ever see Jimi Hendrix perform, you've just missed it. Sorry, you've missed it. I missed Charlie Parker, so f*** off.
Feedback, wah-wah, distortion, phasing, all in the mix. But as time went on, Jimmy wanted more than the familiar. He wanted depth, roots, funk, soul, and something more raw. That drive led him to form the Band of Gypsys, with Billy Cox on bass and Buddy Miles on drums. Musicians whose styles brought him closer to his R&B beginnings and deeper into improvisation. Over 2 nights at the Fillmore East, the Band of Gypsys played 4 concerts. They rehearsed, stretched songs out, explored new dynamics, and recorded every moment. Hendrix used those performances to push the envelope. Live and raw, and sometimes uncontrolled, but always intentional. Machine Gun is the crown jewel of the Band of Gypsys, and it's more than a performance. It is Hendrix in protest, in reflection, in sonic storytelling, through feedback, through tone, and through improvised outrages of sound. Hendrix turned the guitar into a battlefield. On this track, his guitar mimics rockets, bombs, diving planes, and sirens, not because he wanted to show off, but because the moment demanded it. It is one of Hendrix's most powerful and devastating guitar tracks. Band of Gypsys was released in April 1970, making it the only official live album Hendrix saw out during his lifetime. But despite its importance, many young listeners today may only know Hendrix from his studio hits. Purple Haze, Hey Joe, Foxy Lady. But they miss what happens when Hendrix is unrestrained on stage and in the moment. A huge part of this problem is exposure. Hendrix just isn't out there the way he should be. I once played his music for somebody because they were wearing a Jimi Hendrix t-shirt. only for them to ask me who the artist was I was playing. That's how disconnected things have become. You don't even really hear Hendrix on mainstream radio anymore, and his music barely shows up in movies or television. And for those of us on YouTube trying to keep his legacy alive, it's even worse. We have a platform where fans want to help promote the music of these artists, turning them on to new generations, only to be threatened to be shut down for playing a bit of their music. I was recently complimented on my Jimi Hendrix shirt by the kid behind the counter at Guitar Center.
Is your dad into Metheny at all?
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually have no idea who that is.
Pat Metheny is probably the best fusion player of our times. He's like the Jakey Lee of fusion guitar players.
He asked me what my favorite Jimi Hendrix song was. I told him Machine Gun from Band of Gypsys. He had no idea what I was talking about. I told him it's one of the greatest guitar performances ever recorded, and the blueprint for tones by modern players such as John Mayer. Hendrix didn't just play the blues. He reinvented it into something dangerous and alive. Hendrix wasn't recycling old licks. He was inventing a new language on the spot and bending sound and electricity itself into something no one had imagined before. The emotion, the danger, the protest, and the pure imagination, it's all in there. 55 years later, it still blows away anyone willing to listen. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for watching Rock Buzz.